Oh, good. It actually populated correctly this time. Welcome everyone to another stream. I thought about initially doing a continuing with the Ragnarok, but today I'm not feeling like super productive. I'm actually feeling a tad lazy. And so I didn't want to just not stream, you know. But I figured what I could do is I can review the decks that I've been working on for Magic, the Commander decks, and then maybe start a new one. At least ones that I haven't shown on stream yet. And that I already haven't put into the production phase, which I'm pretty sure I've only worked on like 2 decks. I've produced one, and I'm in the process of producing another one. I've already uploaded one of the files to the server. And that will get printed out eventually. So I've been working on a bunch of others. I'm just going to go over them and see if there's anything else I want to add. So we'll see how that goes. I've changed the stream up a little bit. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I've added like a 3D effect to the chat box, just making it a little less flat, and a little bit more fun, I guess, if that's the right word for it. Just adding a little bit of flavor, a little bit of spice, you know. I think overall that will be pretty good. Nice addition to it and all. I've seen other people do it. I've seen a couple friends do it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of going to steal this idea. You know, just mess around, see what I like. So far, at least as far as like what I have right now, it seems pretty good. If anything, I can adjust it on the fly, and we'll see how that ends up working out. But for now, it looks pretty good. I think I've adjusted it to how I want it to appear for the most part. So today we are listening to the Star Ocean 2 soundtrack, by the way. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Because it's a Magic stream or a deck building stream, it's probably going to be a little bit shorter than normal. I don't necessarily mind, though. I can only talk for so long, so you know, usually by the end of streams like this, my voice is kind of beat. I'm not used to talking, excuse me, for extended periods of time. At least not at length. You know, typically when I participate in conversation, it's yeah, I'm attentive, but I only talk when I feel like I need to interject, or if someone asks me a question or something like that. So, but that's that. Let's go ahead and head on over. Let's see if I can enable that. Okay. So the first deck that we're working on today is called, or that we're reviewing anyway, is called the Scrooge McDuck Protocol. This deck is mildly hilarious, at least to me. And the aim of this deck is to generate enough treasures and or artifacts, and then just win the game that way. Not necessarily through combat. But a lot of the ways to generate treasures are going to be through combat, kind of. In the commander format, it should be more possible to win this way, just because everyone's health pool is bigger. typical game of Magic, everyone has 20 life, and in Commander, because everyone's deck is bigger, at least like 100 cards or something like that. Games are meant to go on longer, so your life pool is doubled to like 40. But anyway, so the commander of the Scrooge McDuck protocol is Edward Kenway. You should be familiar with him if you've played early Assassin's Creed games. Edward Kenway was the protagonist of the Black Flag series, which a lot of people still to this day tout as the best Assassin's Creed, at least as far as like pirate warfare goes, naval warfare. It hasn't been beat. Even Ubisoft has tried time and time again to create another pirate game to stand alone and stand above Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and they just have not done it. They just have been unable to do it. So don't know. Not sure why. I forgot which one they made. I forgot what the title was, but they touted it as the first quadruple A game, and it floundered hard. So yeah, not the best. Anyway, so Edward Kenway is a 5/5 legendary creature, human assassin pirate. Cost 2 colorless, a island, a swamp, and a mountain. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each tapped assassin, pirate, and/or vehicle you control. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So, pretty cool. Secondary effect is nice, but really, he's just in here for the first effect. So this deck is mainly creature-based. Of course, we have islands, mountains, and swamps. I believe right now, based off the general distribution, I believe we have more red cards than we do blue or black. Just a smidge. I think this distribution is good. 9 islands, 9 swamps, 12 mountains, and then we have the treasure vault. It's an artifact land. When you tap it, you add a colorless, and you pay XX. Tap, sacrifice this land, create X treasure tokens. Normally, when you pay XX, whatever the X value is, you have to pay twice. So if you want, let's say, 5 treasure tokens, you have to pay 5 twice, so you need to pay a total of 10. But X isn't based on a specific color, so as long as you can just pay 10 into it, then you can get 5, assuming your opponents don't force destroy or force you to sack it before you can do anything or counter it or whatever. Bounce it back to your hand, that type of thing. So that's what we're looking at there. Now we get into the creatures. We have Academy Manufacturer, which is a artifact creature, assembly worker. It's a 1/3 for 3. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create one of each. So this is what I mean, like token generation. In this case, I believe I have stuff that creates food, and I have stuff that creates treasures, mainly treasures. But the cool thing with this guy is if you have him out, like the text says, if you would create either a clue, food, or a treasure token, instead create one of each. So you create all 3 when you decide to create one of them. So in this case, if you like in the previous example, right, the treasure vault, you tap, you sack it, create 5 treasures. Instead of creating just 5 treasure tokens, you would create 5 treasures, 5 foods, and 5 clue tokens. So that's like 15 artifacts right there, which is insane, right? So I do have stuff in here that's like specifically for treasures, and stuff in here that's specifically like artifacts, you win the game type of thing. So this guy is good. You want to get rid of him like pretty quick. And Adewale, Breaker of Chains. The 4/1. It's a human assassin pirate. It's 1 colorless, 1 swamp, 1 island. When they enter the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put an assassin, pirate, or vehicle card from among them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, you may return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So, awesome. Good stuff. Good way to bounce him back, assuming people don't exile him, that type of thing. So always a great way to plunder your library, look for something you need. And then when he inevitably dies, if you do have a vehicle that can deal combat damage to a player, then you can just get him back. So pretty self-explanatory. He's like a semi-draw engine for as long as you can keep bringing him back and putting him into the battlefield. So good overall card, only costs 3. So good way to definitely like rotate through your deck. You don't shuffle in this case when you look for them, but it does help you get through your deck that much quicker because it is always revealing the top 6 cards, and then you put whatever you don't take it to the bottom of your library in a random order. Good cycle. Then we have Butch Deloria, Tunnel Snake from the Fallout series. It was 2/2, costs colorless and a swamp. This creature has menace. This creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Its ability is Tunnel Snake's rule. Whenever a Butch Deloria Tunnel Snakes attacks, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn for each other rogue and or snake you control. This deck doesn't have snakes, but it does have rogues. This is an outlaw deck. It's mainly pirates, but it's pirate rogue and then like sprinkle of like assassins in there. And I think like maybe a wizard or 2, because I think wizards also count as outlaws for some reason. But anyway, so and then its activated ability is the same as its converted mana cost. Put a menace counter on another target creature. It becomes a rogue in addition to its other types. So this can give other creatures the menace tag. It becomes a rogue. And I do have cards that specifically interact with rogues. So it's just like a do more card, which is great. We have 2 versions of Captain Storm. So the first one that we have here, Captain Lannery Storm. It's a 2/2 human pirate legendary creature. 2 colorless, 1 mountain. Has haste. Whenever Captain Lannery Storm attacks, create a treasure token. And whenever you sacrifice a treasure, Captain Lannery Storm gets +1/+0 to the end of turn. Highly unlikely that we'll be using like the second part of this card, but hey, you never know. You never know. And then the second version that we have here, Captain Storm Cosmium Raider. It's a 2/2 human pirate, again, legendary creature. It costs an island and a mountain. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target pirate you control. So this is how you beef up your pirates. I do believe I have some things in here that's like do more when a creature has +1/+1. We'll see if that's the case. I might be thinking about another deck. But I think that's the case. And either way, you beef up your creatures. Always good. Can't complain about that. We have coercive recruiter, if I can speak. It's 4/3. It's an orc pirate. Costs 4 colorless and a mountain. Whenever coercive, I'm just going to say, whenever this or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature until the end of turn. Untap that creature until the end of turn. It gains haste and becomes a pirate in addition to its other types. So in the case that your opponent doesn't have a ton of creatures, it doesn't have like something like hexproof or shroud or something like that, Let's say they have like one creature on the board. If I need to get through with something that doesn't have like haste or flying or mountain walk or something like that, play this, take control of the creature. Their board's empty. They have no defenders, assuming that they then don't have a way to destroy my creature, bounce it back, whatever. This is just another way for me to make sure that something does damage, to get like a trigger on something, or just to, poke them here and there. It's a do more card. It's great. You get to basically attack the opponent with its own creature. It also becomes a pirate. So if I have any triggers specifically for pirates, when it comes into the battlefield and when it attacks, it will apply to that creature for the combat, which is nice. So, do more again. And then we have Contraband Kingpin. It's a 1/4. It's an Aetherborn Rogue, and it costs a swamp and a island. It's got lifelink. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. I believe scry allows you to look at the however many cards on the top of your library. In this case, it's 1. And then I believe with scry, you can choose to either put it back or put it on the bottom. Let me just make sure. Yeah, you get to look at the top cards of your deck and either keep them on the top or put them on the bottom. Cool. And in any order. But in this case, it's just 1, so you're not doing anything with it. So a nice way to look to see what is coming up next. Good way to cycle cards if you have something that you may want, because you can put it on the bottom of your library if you don't need it right now. So if I have a pretty good turn with this card and Academy Manufacturer, and I create tokens, in this case I create 3, I can scry. I can scry 3 times, and I can cycle the deck that way, which is nice. Then we have Cutthroat Negotiator, Orc Pirate for 3. Cost 2 colorless, an island, and a mountain. His ability is Parlay. Whenever a Cutthroat Negotiator attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a tap treasure token. Then each player draws a card. This is important because it says when it attacks, so it doesn't need to deal damage. Just whenever it attacks, I can create a treasure token. Obviously, you want to keep this guy alive, but maybe if you need treasure tokens immediately, or you need something to do with generating whenever you generate an artifact, you can certainly attack with this guy and get something potentially, or nothing if it just happens to be that everyone that you're fighting against draws a land, or reveals a land. So, but nice card there. Up next, we have Dead-Eye Plunderers, 3/3 human pirate, costs 3 colorless, a swamp, and an island. Dead-Eye Plunderers gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, so stacking artifacts. It's just build up huge card. And its activate ability is 1 less of its CMC. Create a colorless treasure artifact token. So this is another way to generate treasure tokens with mana, not for free. But basically it buffs itself, so if you need to, you can always do that. And you don't have to tap. So as long as you can keep paying the CMC over and over and over again, you can generate as many treasure tokens as needed. Up next, we have Death Cult Rogue. It's 2/2. Human Rogue. 1 colorless, and then you can pay 2 of either a swamp or an island, or you can do 1 of each. When there's that split mana cost, you can do either or. Um, so Death Cult Rogue can't be blocked except by rogues. So if your opponent doesn't have rogues, well, this is unblockable. It's not indestructible though, so they can destroy it with spells. They can bounce it back. They can destroy it. Not immune to everything, but definitely annoying. It doesn't have haste though, so they will need one turn of being alive in order to do something. So that definitely gives everyone a chance to ping it off. But like I said, I should have some effects in the deck that is specific to rogues. So over time, you probably don't want rogues hitting stuff, right? Or my rogues, anyway. Moving on to Eloise, Nephalia Sleuth. Legendary creature, human rogue, 4/4. Cost 3 colorless, a swamp, and an island. Whenever another creature you control dies, investigate. When you investigate, you create a colorless clue artifact token. And with the clue artifact tokens, you pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice tokens, surveil 1. So if you need to cycle, you don't really want to be cycling by sacrificing artifacts, but if you have to, there should always be a way to generate some kind of artifact. So if you have, like, again, if you have Academy Manufacture out, no one's taking care of it, then you'll always be generating something, right? You'll just be sacrificing the clue token. In this case with Surveil, you can look at the top card of your library, and you can choose to either put it into your graveyard or just leaving it at the top. You don't draw it. It's kind of cycling, but it's just a way to look at something to see if you need it or you want it. I'm not sure. I think I have some stuff that brings things back from the graveyard. I think in this case, the only thing that I want to sacrifice to the graveyard potentially are creatures. And I think some artifacts, I believe. I'm not too sure. Next up, we have Fathom Fleet Swordjack. Orc Pirate 4/3, 3 colorless, and a mountain. Whenever this attacks, it deals damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking equal to the number of artifacts you control. Whenever it attacks, again, very specific, it doesn't actually need to do damage to anything. I just have to declare what I'm attacking, either a player or planeswalker, and based on the number of artifacts that I have, it's just going to deal that much damage to that, assuming that they don't have a way to prevent it. They don't have a way to bounce my guy back to counter. Its activated ability is Encore. It costs 5 colorless and a mountain. If I play Encore, I can exile this card from my graveyard. Basically, like, when it dies is when I can use this. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. Then gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So in this case with Encore, I can... what this will do is... I forgot what ability this is like, because there's another ability that's like this. It's not Menace, but... in either case, this one is nice because... again, I just have to declare an attack, right? So unless they have, again, a way to deal with the copies that come out, it's just going to straight up do damage to either a planeswalker they control or themselves. So pretty great. I can only activate this at sorcery speed. So I can really only do this on my turn, but that is still okay because if it does go through at some point when I have this card, generally it should be assumed that I have enough artifacts to the point where it's going to do a decent amount of damage. So that's great. Next up, we have Gem Cutter Buccaneer. It's a 1/3, It's an orc pirate artificer. It costs 3 colorless and a mountain. Whenever gem cutter, buccaneer, or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, create a tap treasure token. Treasures you control are equipment in addition to their other types, and have equipped creature gets +2/+0. If you equip it to a pirate, it only costs 1, but if you equip it to anyone else that's not a pirate, it costs 3. So not bad. It creates it gives treasures additional utility potentially, which is nice. Probably not going to use it in that way too often, but it is a welcome addition to maybe eke out like a little bit more extra damage. And then we have Generous Plunderer, Human Rogue. It's 2/2. It costs a colorless and a mountain. This creature has Menace. Again, Menace is it can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So if the opponent only has 1, this creature is basically unblockable, assuming they don't have something like protection from red, or they don't ping it or counter or something. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a treasure token. When you do, target opponent creates a tap treasure token. So this is like you're helping out your opponent, which is fine, I think. It incentivizes. Well, you don't even have to. It says you may. But by giving your opponent a treasure token, you're incentivizing them to let this guy through. Or to keep him on the board for a little longer, you know. But the caveat to this is you're giving them treasures, and the second part of the card reads, whenever a Generous Plunderer attacks, it deals damage to defending player equal to the number of artifacts they control. So in that case, they probably do not want you to give them treasures. You don't have to. It's your choice, because it says you may. But if your opponent is running artifact heavy deck, or for whatever reason they don't mind you giving them artifacts, assuming that they probably have a way to deal with this guy. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But again, this is when you declare an attack. So you don't. Oh, and it has to deal damage. Okay, so whenever they deal damage. Oh damn, you got a 5 right off the rip there, buddy. Welcome to the stream. Oh, look at that. You got 1, 2, 3. Got mango. Things are working out. Man, still can't display that string of emotes, huh? But yeah, you don't want this guy up if they have a lot of artifacts, because if the damage goes through, they take 2, and on top of that, they allow damage, extra damage for any artifacts that they control, which really sucks ass for them. So you don't want that. I know this guy. Oh, I bet. Yes, this is the Scrooge McDuck protocol. We are reviewing some decks. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I could maybe add if I feel like it. Commander is Edward Kenway. Five. 2 colorless, 1 swamp, 1 mountain, 1 island. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each tapped assassin, pirate, and or vehicle you control. And then whenever vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. It's a nice addition, but I'm probably not going to be using the second part of this card too much. He's really in there just for the first part of the card. So the next guy that we have in here is Greedy Freebooter. Is 1/1, a human pirate, costs a swamp. When this guy dies, scry 1 and create a treasure token. So he's just here to give me stuff. If we want him to eat shit at some point, so that's fine. Pretty self-explanatory. Up next we have Horde Robber. He's a 1/3 tiefling rogue, costs a swamp and a colorless. Whenever a Horde Robber deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. So, you know, duh. Invisible Stalker is a 1/1 human rogue, cost an island and a colorless. This creature is hexproof. Creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Very important because it's a lot different from Shroud. Hexproof is the superior version because it still allows you to do stuff, just not your opponents, which is nice. Invisible Stalker is unblockable. So, not... Yeah. It's annoying. Just poking you here and there. Just poke. But I do have stuff that affects rogues. So I don't think there are too many things that like buff rogues as far as like giving them more damage. But this guy's just here to be annoying and to get certain triggers to go off and stuff. Up next is one of the win conditions I have for this deck. Knuckles the Echidna. It's a 2/4 legendary creature, Echidna Warrior. Actually not a pirate, a rogue, assassin, any type of outlaw. Is a 2 colorless and 2 mountains. It's got double strike, trample, and haste. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. So if you have them out, you have stuff that's going to deal damage. You're just going to generate more treasures. And the win condition, Treasure Hunter, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 30 or more artifacts, you win the game. So the whole idea about this deck is just being a greedy asshole, and just winning that way. He has 1 win condition. He's the main win condition that I thought of before some other stuff. Blood Money may be a card in this deck if you need a board wipe. I thought about that. I looked at that, and I'm still considering it. So very much a possibility. This guy is in here, Lighthouse Chronologist. Starts out as a 1/3, but this guy does level up. It's a human wizard, costs an island and a colorless. To level up, you pay an island, and then you put a level counter on this, and you can only level up as a sorcery. Starts out at as a 1/3. Between levels 4 through 6, it's a 2/4, and then at level 7 and above, it becomes a 3/5. The last level, the last condition is important because at the beginning of each end step, not just my turn, but specifically if it's not my turn, take an extra turn after this one. So if I create a situation where Knuckles is out, I have the requisite amount of artifacts, then it gets to someone's turn, they go through their entire turn, this guy's at level 7, they're not able to do anything, no one's able to do anything, then I basically just win. I assume my friends, we like to have fun, but usually people have a way to wipe the board or take someone out, something like this out. This guy doesn't have protection from anything. Usually there's a way to like bounce back stuff or to kill it, deal direct damage, whatever. So it's highly unlikely that this happens. It's just that this facilitates that the win condition happens if no one can do anything. There's one other standout I would recommend. It's not a card, but a mechanic. Nate runs this guy in a deck. It is brutal. Oh, I bet. I bet. Then moving on. Just looking at Outlaw Synergy. Outlaw is a group of creature types that include assassins, rogues, and mercenaries. I do have a couple. I mean, this is an outlaw deck. I don't know. I have stuff that specifically targets the whole outlaw group. I believe outlaws are assassins, rogues, mercenaries, wizards, and something else. It's like a cabal of like 5 different card types. Warlocks. There you go. Yeah. I know in this deck I have at least 3 types. I do have assassins, rogues, and pirates. Pirates was the other one. Assassins, rogues, mercenaries, pirates, and warlocks. I think. But yes, I think I have a card that mentions that. I may consider moving some of that around, but you are correct. That is definitely something that I have considered and that I have changed up every once in a while to get more in line with some synergies. But I don't know. I have stuff that's specifically synergistic. That's like all outlaws. This back in town. Check it out. Back in town. Return X outlaw creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. Sorcery, black. X. 2 colorless and 1 swap. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. I'll keep this one up in a tab and I'll see if there's anything that doesn't synergize super well, or the one that synergizes the weakest, and maybe I will remove it and replace it with this. We have Lobelia Sackville Baggins. It's a 2/3 legendary creature, halfling citizen. It's a 2 colorless and a swamp. It's got flash. So I can basically play this as if it had like as if it were like I can play this at like instant speed, essentially. Not like haste. It's got menace, so again can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures, which is great. And when this enters the battlefield, exile target creature card from an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. Then create X treasure tokens, where X is the exiled card's power. Pretty cool. Assuming I have a way to... Well, no. Because I can play this at instant speed, if an opponent's creature dies, and I have this, and I have the mana, I can play it, and then immediately take advantage of that. So, yeah, okay. 1 mana for each dude, Nutty's held. There are a few other Outlaw Synergy cards. My Voltron deck that you haven't seen is an Outlaw deck. I like her, but she can be rough to play. You need to hold the mana up. Yeah. This is just kind of like if like I have like a this is just a win more card. So if I have it, great. If not, then she'll just be, burning a hole in my pocket, or she'll be dead. Hey, what's up, Lonnie? 4-3, got an orange slice today. Welcome to the stream. He's also a graveyard hate card. True. Oh, nice. What'd you have for lunch? Well, I like your flair there. Is that a NASA flare? NASA Artemis 2. Nice. Cool. Could really gum up Nate's decks, yeah. Um actually, oh man. I don't want to do that. um I know you guys are like my friends and stuff, but let me go ahead and do this. Nice, nice. There you go. Enjoy your VIP status, gentle sirs. I've actually been meaning to do that for a while. I just keep forgetting. And as VIPs, you now get to rock the fox. Boja Kabog is also a grave hate card. I think I've seen that one before. I has the shiny. Yes, you are shiny now. Enjoy. Um, then moving on next, we've got Locke Treasure Hunter. It's 2/3. Legendary creature, human rogue. Cost 1 colorless, a swamp, and a mountain. Locke can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. He has the ability Mug. Whenever a Locke attacks, each player mills a card. If a land card was milled this way, create a treasure token. Until the end of turn, you may cast a spell from among those cards. I generally don't like to use mill. This is the only guy that I have that I believe mills a card. But yeah. It is a swamp that exiles a graveyard. Ooh, nice. I don't believe I have mercenaries in here. No, I don't think so. It's mainly pirate rogue and a sprinkle bit of assassin. I don't think I have warlocks in here either. Kellogg. Star Ocean 2 is fun. I like the Switch remake a lot. Like 99 things. Yeah. Yeah, Star Ocean 2 is crazy because it's like it's such a long game, especially if you decide to do like the extra dungeon in each playthrough. And then you can only get certain characters when you play through certain people's stories, whether it's Claude or Reyna. And like each character has like an ending with like each other, so it's like, thankfully, uh, in the remake they've made it easier to do things like not having to get into combat on the overworld all the time, and just like if you're strong enough, you can just kill shit, which is nice. New Game Plus definitely helps, but I'm glad they don't have like an achievement that's like get all the endings, because that would just fucking kill me. I'm a completionist, but I'm not that level, Fable the Mirror Breaker is a treasure card. So much QOL. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, yeah. The remaster they did is like choice. So good. So good. Like, I swear Star Ocean 2, like more than half your playthrough is literally combat. Um you still grind, of course, but because of the quality of life improvements, that it's like speeds it up by like so much. There's an unusable treasure card that has a Saga 2. I've probably seen it, but I don't think I put it in. Oh wait, I probably can. If it's unusable, then it's probably banned. So yeah, I probably didn't see it. I love a remaster of 3. The PS2 is so rough. Yeah, 3 is pretty rough. From what I understand about the combat is like the combat is like nuanced enough that like if you like leave for a long time and come back, like a lot of people come back and just like get instantly like fucked. Oh, the Smog Saga. Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that one. That's the one that like when it gets to the end of the saga, it creates like smog and like smog like gives you like 14 treasure tokens or something, right? Some crap like that. Yeah, yeah. It creates smog, and then like when smog dies, it gives you like 14 like tokens or something, which is insane. I think I had that in here at one point, and I was like, I don't. It's not really a dragon deck, so um, I like took it out. It just didn't fit thematically. I mean, aside from the treasure part, but um, it's unusable because it's tough to play. Yeah, yeah. Combat needs help. Absolutely. Successfully having 2 conversations. Well, I'm trying to be better about it, but because I'm not doing something that I have to constantly interact with. Appreciate the head pat. Thank you. Um, it allows me to actually pay attention um, to the conversations I am having. Say, let's go. Oh, we were here. So next up we have Malcolm Key-Eyed Navigator. It's a siren pirate, legendary creature. Uh-oh. I think the stream's gonna go down in a second because my router is flashing red. Oh. Well, right now I'm still alive, so I am also going to go into my Spectrum app, because I'm pretty sure that's on automatic pay, and I'm fairly certain I paid last month. So let's check on that just to make sure. Um, Yep, auto pay scheduled for the 23rd, which is in a couple of days. Well, for now, we are still up. I am very surprised. Yep, last payment was successful, so I don't know why my modem is flashing red. I'm afraid. Anyway, it's 2/2. Siren Pirate, legendary creature. It costs an island and 2 colorless. It's flying. Whenever one or more pirates you control deals damage to your opponents, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage. And it has the partner tag, but I don't. I can't have 2 commanders, I guess, but I don't. I don't think I have a commander with partner, so this won't. This doesn't affect anything. I see in here you still alive. Seems okay. Spectrum, yes. Spectrum. Risk the biscuit. Well, for now we're hanging in there. We are hanging in there. And my modem lights aren't blinking, so I don't know. Maybe Spectrum's just being weird. I don't know. Aside from the beginning of the stream, I've only dropped frames there and haven't dropped anything yet. Everything's still in the green, so. Up next we have Mari the Killing Quill. There's a legendary creature, Vampire Assassin, 3/2. Costs 2 swamps and a colorless. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exiled with a hit counter on it. Assassins, mercenaries, and rogues you control have death touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a hit counter from a card that player owns in exile. If you do, draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens. So, yeah, pretty annoying. Cat entry hanging in. True. Pretty cool card. Up next, we have Pitiless Plunderer. It's a 1/4 human pirate. Costs a swamp and 3 colorless. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. So, yeah. Not much needs to be explained there. Dog got the full belly. About time for the post-lunch nap. Aw. Nappies. Nap time is good time. Give him my best. We've got Prosperous Bandit. It's a 2/2 Raccoon Rogue. Costs 2 colorless and a mountain. It's got the activated ability Offspring. It's 1 colorless. You may pay an additional 1 as you cast the spell, and it doesn't. It's not just one time. It's not tapped, so you as much mana as you can pump into this. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. It's got first strike, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many tapped creature tokens. So, yeah, that gets super annoying super fast, especially if people can't deal with it. So, usually this won't be allowed to happen. It doesn't have protection from anything, so this just gets fucking board wiped or blocked, because it specifically needs to deal combat damage to a player. But I do have this guy. And if I have enough mana in the following turn to put menace counters onto those things, then there's only so much they can block. So yeah, board wipe is necessary for that. So yeah. And then we have Setzer, Wandering Gambler. It's a 2/2 legendary creature, human rogue pilot. Costs a swamp, a mountain, and a colorless. When Setzer enters, create the Blackjack, a legendary 3/3 colorless vehicle artifact token with flying and crew 2. To crew a vehicle, I believe you have to tap either as many creatures as it takes for their total power to crew a vehicle, I think. Crew. To activate the ability, tap any number of untapped creatures you control whose combined power is equal or greater to the vehicle's crew number. Yeah. Okay. So that is how that works. So the Blackjack is just sitting around until it gets crew 2, so at least a total power of 2 from tapped creatures. And whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, flip a coin. When you win a coin flip, create 2 tapped treasure tokens. So this works in combination with this guy. Whenever a vehicle you control deals damage to a player, you may return this guy from your graveyard to your hand, and anything that generates a treasure, a food, or a clue works in conjunction with this guy. If you create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. So quickly spirals out of control if you just let things lie. After that, we have Spyglass Siren. It's a 1/1 Siren Pirate, costs an island. It's flying. When Spyglass Siren enters the battlefield, create a map token. It's an artifact with it costs 1 colorless, and then you tap to sacrifice it, and then target creature you control explores. Explore. Whenever a creature explores, you reveal the top card of your library and take one of 2 paths. If it's a land, you may put the card straight to your hand. If it's a non-land, you put a 1/1 counter on the exploring creature, and you choose whether to leave that card on top of your library or to put it into your graveyard. So, pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. On top of that, it's flying, and it'll deal more damage. It'll just poke you. Just poke, After that, we have Stormfleet Negotiator, Siren Pirate 2/2. Cost an island, 2 colorless. It's flying. Also has the Parlay ability. Whenever a Stormfleet Negotiator attacks, each player reveals the top card of the library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a map token. Then each player draws a card. So, I don't know if that means you reveal the top and then you draw a card after, or the top card that was revealed, then you can draw it. I think that's what it is. Again, map token. It's an artifact, so while this doesn't work in conjunction with the manufacturer, it's just another artifact that's adding to your overall artifacts. Because I do have other win conditions aside from Knuckles. Similar win conditions. Then we have Time Stream Navigator. Is a human pirate wizard. It's a 1/1. It costs an island and a colorless. It has Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. Permanents are basically anything that remains on the field, which include tokens, I believe. So that's great. Basically, you put this guy out as soon as you get 10 or more. Hopefully he doesn't get countered. Hopefully he doesn't get destroyed in some way or whatever. But this is another way to a win condition. Its activated ability is 2 islands and 2 colorless. You tap it. Assuming no one does anything or has no way to stop it, you put Time Stream Navigator at the bottom of its owner's library. Take an extra turn after this one. Activate only you have the city's blessing. So if you have Knuckles out and you fulfill the condition of having 30 artifacts, you win. So it's another way to get to the win condition, but they're not invincible. So usually there is a way to get them. My modem is back to blue, so that's great. Up next we have Treasure Dredger, human rogue 2/2, costs a swamp and a colorless. You pay 1, you tap, pay 1 life, create a treasure token. So in this case, you end up sacrificing some life, but in the commander format, that's not too bad because everyone starts with 40 life, so you can kind of afford to do this like early on. If not, it's just another rogue, and then you can do fucked up stuff with rogues. So, all good. Moving on, we have Vaughn, Street Thief, 2/2, human scout, legendary creature. Cost a mountain, 2 colorless. Whenever 1 or more scouts, pirates, and or rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast it. If you don't, create a treasure token. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a 1/1 counter on each scout, pirate, and rogue you control. So, this is another one you don't want to leave out. You want to fucking kill this thing like on site almost. Especially if you're whoever is in control of this thing has like a bunch of pirates and rogues and shit out, and yeah, like you want this thing to die. You don't you don't want him to buff your other stuff. On top of creating treasure tokens. Yeah, it's just bad news bears for everyone around who who can't do anything. Up next we have Whirler Rogue, Human Rogue Artificers, 2/2, cost 2 islands and 2 colorless. When Whirler Rogue enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless Thropter artifact creature tokens with flying. Again, this is just more artifacts. The Thropters are nice because even though they're 1/1s, they are flying. Not everyone is going to be able to deal with flying. They don't have a way to deal with this. Even though the artifacts themselves aren't rogues, I can make them rogues again with Butch, and I can while also making them a rogue, I can also make them menace. Have menace. So yeah. And then tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, and target creature can't be blocked this turn. So and then the final creature we have for the moment is Zara, Renegade Recruiter. Legendary creature, human pirate, 4/3. Costs a mountain, island, and 3 colorless. It's flying. Whenever Zara, Renegade Recruiter attacks, look at defending player's hand. You can put a creature card from it onto the battlefield under your control tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. Return that creature to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So, yeah, this is just another like, haha, like, fuck you. I'm gonna attack you with something you've got. You can choose to let it happen so that you can get the creature back, or you can choose to kill it. If it's gonna do lethal, or if you have a way to just like bring it back. Human pirate. But yeah, this isn't like super specific to this this deck. I may switch them out for something more thematic. But this is just kind of a way for me to get closer to winning the game in a more traditional sense. Of course, if I gain control of the creature, I can always turn it into a rogue with what's his face. And then, if I have the other things out that's like, well, this is rogue, it does this and blah, blah, blah. So it's just more stupid stuff. Moving on to sorceries. We've got 9 of them in here for the moment. We've got Brass's Bounty. It's a 6 colorless and a mountain. For each land you control, create a colorless treasure token. Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory. We have Contract Killing. It's 2 swamps, 3 colorless. Destroy target creature, create 2 colorless treasure artifact tokens. Again, pretty simple. We've got Grim Bounty. It's basically the lesser version of Contract Killing. It costs 1 less. Yeah, it costs 1 less. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, create a treasure token. So I might switch one of these out for back in town. I'll do that now. I'll get rid of Grim Bounty. Back in town. I can't spell or format correctly. So back in town, costs X, 2 colorless, a swamp. Return X target outlaw creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And again, outlaws are rogues, pirates, assassins, mercenaries, or warlocks. And X, you return a creature for each one that you pay into X on top of the other CMC. So pretty good. We've got Hell to Pay. Costs X plus a mountain. Hell to Pay deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of tap treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. So if something has like 1 toughness, you want to pay as much into this as possible to just like beef up like your treasures. It's pretty great because essentially it cost 2, in air quotes. It costs 2, and then you just do cool shit. So okay. So yeah, pretty cool. Next we have Hit the Mother Load. It is 3 mountains for colorless. Discover 10. If the discovered card's mana value is less than 10, create a number of tap treasure tokens equal to the difference. I think the highest cost thing I have in here is Brass's Bounty so far. And even then, if I were to draw that, I would still get 3. Which kind of sucks, but isn't horrible. After that, we have Involuntary Employment. It costs a mountain and 3 colorless. Gain control of target creature until the end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until the end of turn, and you create a treasure token. So, again, it's just another way to fuck with your opponent. If they don't have a ton of creatures, you get a treasure token, and then you can potentially kill their guy or just do more damage or what have you. So, after that, we've got Smoke Spirit's Aid. Costs X and a mountain. For each up to X target creatures, create a red aura enchantment token. I was about to say enchantment, right? That's how you say that. Enchantment token named Smoke Blessing attached to that creature. Those tokens have enchant creature, and when enchanted creature dies, it deals 1 damage to its controller, and you create a treasure token. So this risks the gamble that if you have a lot of creatures out, you're gonna have enough life to survive. Enchantment, yes. Enchantment. Chomp chomp. So yeah, it's a gamble, but one that's you're pretty safe taking most of the time. Up next, we have Strike It Rich. It costs a mountain. Creates a treasure token. And then it has flashback, so you can play it from your graveyard. It costs 2 colorless and a mountain. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost and then exile it. So you essentially get 2 tokens for the price of 4 mana. Not bad. Exactly. Then our last sorcery in the deck for now, we have Visions of Ruin. Costs a mountain and 3 colorless. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact. For each artifact sacrificed this way, you create a treasure token. And it also has flashback. Its flashback cost is 8 colorless and 2 mountains. The spell costs X less to cast this way, where X is the greatest mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. So in this case, it would cost Greatest mana value of a commander. So does that mean total mana value or just the highest mana value? Because if it's total mana value, it's 6. No, it's 5. But if it's just the highest mana value, which would be 2, in this case, it would be 2. So best case scenario, this would cost 3 colorless and 2 mountains. And worst case scenario, it costs 6 colorless and 2 mountains. Either way, whatever. Moving on to our instance. Hello, cat. I'm glad you are joining me on the desk here. Please do not back up. In fact, I am going to move my tumbler so that you do not back into it. First instant we have up on the board, an offer you can't refuse. Costs 1 island. This is one of the few decks that I will play counter into, but it's not a ton of counter, I believe. I think I only have like 2 or 3 spells. Counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. So in this case, I would be giving my opponent treasures and not myself. But this works with... There's one that I had here. Where was it? It's not that. It was this guy. So whenever a generous player attacks, it deals damage to defending player equal to the number of artifacts they control. So I counter non-creature spell, give them 2 treasures, and then potentially deal more damage with this guy if they let him through. Thematically, it kind of makes sense. I might switch it out for something. After that, we have Bottle Cap Blast. It is 4 colorless and a mountain. It has the improvised tag. Your artifacts can help cast this spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1. So at max, I can tap 4 artifacts, and this will just cost a mountain. You are sitting on the desk. That usually signals that you want to go out. Do you want to go out? Yes. I'll leave the door open a crack in case you want to come back. And Bottle Cap Blast deals 5 damage to any target. If excess damage was dealt to a permanent this way, create that many tap treasure tokens. So obviously you want to use this on something whose toughness is like 1. It says to a permanent, so you can also target your own stuff. So at best, you'll get 4 treasures. And at worst, if you actually need to deal 5 damage to something or what have you, you'll get 1 or 0. So we have Deadly Derision. Cost 2 swamps, 2 colorless, destroy target creature or planeswalker, create a treasure token. Pretty self-explanatory. It was basically the lesser version of this card that we just took out, but an instant instead of sorcery. We have Depths of Desire. Cost 2 colorless and an island. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Create a colorless treasure artifact token. So this kind of works like an offer you can't refuse, except it gives me a treasure token, not the opponent. And in this case, it returns a creature to its owner's hand, so it bounces things back. I can even bounce my own stuff. So if I want to do something that has like when this comes into the battlefield, activate ability, I can do that, which is nice. We've got Hornswoggle, same CMC as the previous one. Counter target creature spell. You create a colorless treasure artifact. So counter specifically a creature. But yep. This is another thing that helps us get to our win condition. Nexus of Fate. It's a 5 colorless, 2 islands. Take an extra turn after this one. If Nexus of Fate would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. So this one can potentially keep looping back into the deck. If it doesn't get exiled. Yeah. So cool. Good stuff. We have Prismari Command. 1 colorless, 1 island, 1 mountain. Choose 2. Prismari Command deals 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2 cards, then discards 2 cards. Target player creates a treasure token, or destroy target artifact. So, yeah, pretty nice. After that, we have Spell Swindle. 3 colorless, 2 islands. Counter target spell, create X treasure tokens, where X is that spell's mana value. So you want to counter something pretty big, essentially, but I think as long as you counter something for Spell Swindle CMC, you pretty much get away with doing, you pretty much get like good value. 5 for 5 doesn't sound like a bad deal. And then our last instant in the deck, Unexpected Windfall. 2 colorless, 2 mountains. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, then create 2 treasure tokens. So if you have something that you just want to get rid of, or that you know you can like bounce back into your hand eventually from the graveyard, this is nice. You get more, more draw, and you get 2 tokens. So good stuff. Moving on to artifacts. We have Diamond Pickaxe. It's an equipment. It only costs a mountain. It's indestructible. So any effects that say destroy don't destroy this artifact. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. Costs 2 to equip. So we have Noble's Purse. Costs 2. Noble's Purse enters the battlefield tapped and with 3 coin counters on it. When you tap this, remove a coin counter from Noble's Purse, create a treasure token. So you get 3 treasure tokens for free, potentially. It literally just costs you time / turns. We have Prize Statue. Costs 2. When Prize Statue enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard from battlefield, create a treasure token. So you can potentially get 2 from here. Which is nice. We have the RMS Titanic. It's a 7/1. It's a vehicle. Costs 3 colorless and a mountain. It's got flying and trample. When RMS Titanic deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and create that many treasure tokens. It has crew 3. So you need a total power of at least 3 in combination of creatures, or maybe just 1. But at least a total power of 3 to crew the Titanic in order for it to become a vehicle that can actually do something. So yeah. create as many treasure tokens as damage goes on to the player. Okay. Up next, we have Sunset Sarsaparilla Machine. It's a Fallout thing. You pay 1, you tap, create a food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, create a tap treasure token. So again, this goes along with this guy. You'd create a clue, food, or treasure token, and create 1 of each. And with the machine, if you decide to sacrifice a food token, you create a tap treasure token, which also goes back and creates another food token, a treasure token, and a clue token. So you actually create 4 artifacts with this. Up next, we have Sword of Wealth and Power. It costs 3. It's equipment. Okay, anyone else coming in? Nope. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from instants and from sorceries. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, and it costs 2 to equip onto something. Nice win more card, more generation. You can potentially copy spells. In this case, when you copy a spell, the spell goes on the stack. You don't have to pay for it. But depending on whether or not it's an instant or sorcery, you have to play it at a certain time. So, up next, we have the Belligerent. It's another vehicle. It's 5/5. This one doesn't have flying. It costs 2 colorless, a mountain, and an island. Whenever the Belligerent attacks, create a treasure token. Until the end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. To crew it, you need a power of 3. We have the Reaver Cleaver. Equipment, 2 colorless and a mountain. The creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens, and it costs 3 to equip. Then the last artifact we have is Treasure Chest. Costs 3. You pay 4, you sacrifice the treasure chest, and you roll a d20. If you get a 1, you get trapped. You lose 3 life. If you roll 2 to 9, you create 5 treasure tokens, which is the most ideal, I think, for my deck anyway. If you roll a 10-19, you gain 3 life and draw 3 cards. The draw is nice. The life is all right. Still want to roll 2 to 9, though. And then if you roll a critical 20, search your library for a card. If it's an artifact card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put that card into your hand and shuffle. It's nice, but again, the outcome that you typically want for the treasure chest is 2 to 9. It looks like we got to the end of the Star Ocean 2 OST. Which one do I want next? Let's do Breath of Fire 3. Oh, wow, this is the longest one yet. I love Breath of Fire 3. And finally, we get to enchantments. Got Black Market Connections. It's a swamp, 2 colorless. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more. Create a treasure token, you lose 1 life. Draw a card, you lose 2 life. Create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling, you lose 3 life. So, Changeling is everything. So it can be an assassin, pirate, rogue, mercenary, and a warlock. And everything. So yeah. It doesn't have flying or anything, but if you just need another thing to get stuff from other things, you know, go for it. We have Descent into Avernus. It's 2 colorless and a mountain. Whenever at the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Then each player creates X treasure tokens, and Descent into Avernus deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters on Descent into Avernus. So this helps everyone, but it also starts pinging everybody. So give and take. We've got Double Down. It is 3 colorless, 1 blue. Whenever you cast an outlaw spell, copy that spell. So assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. Copies of permanent spells become tokens. So very cool. We've got Corvold and the Noble Thief. It's a saga. As the saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter. Sacrifice after 3. So you create on 1 and 2, create a treasure token, and then on 3, exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. You may play those cards this turn. In this case, by play, I do believe you have to pay for them. It doesn't specify that you can pay without the mana cost, because you're not copying anything. You're exiling, and then it's saying you can play it from exile. So this is another win condition here. We've got Mechanized Production. It's an aura. It costs 2 islands and 2 colorless. Enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. I did look this up, and you don't actually need to copy anything. This just helps you do that if you don't have enough. If you control 8 or more artifacts that are the same thing, so if you have like 8 treasure tokens, 8 clue tokens, 8 food tokens, 8 map tokens, as long as it's an artifact that has the same name, you win at the beginning of your next upkeep. So this requires a board wipe, or at the very least, you need to kill Mechanized Production. So then we have Revel in Riches. It is a swamp and 4 colorless. Whenever a creature an opponent controlled dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. So another win condition. And then we have Storm the Vault. It's a legendary enchantment. Costs 2 colorless, a mountain, and an island. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a colorless treasure artifact token. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, transform Storm the Vault. And it transforms into Vault of Catlacan, or Catlacan, I don't know. Legendary land. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool when you tap it, or you can tap to add a island to your mana pool for each artifact you control. So, pretty neat. And then earlier in the stream, we went over the lands, Flush Treasure Vault. So, I don't know if I need anything else in this deck right now. It seems pretty good. Oh, I missed it earlier, but I saw a cheeseburger. Oh, nice. Oh, blood money, right. Let me look that up real quick. Blurred Murney. Expensive bugger here. 2 swamps, 5 colorless. Destroy all creatures. For each non-token creature destroy this way, you create a tap treasure token. What would I get rid of though? What helps me the least? I don't know. One of the counter spells, probably. Cut cards and add lands. You don't need a board wipe. No need to add one. It is pricey. Just plays into more treasures. Yeah, I mean, I typically keep my lands around like 33. I know you said you usually like put your lands to like 35, right? Not really sure what to cut. Like, I'd probably cut Zara. She just helps me win more. Yeah, I tend to keep most of my decks around 33. It usually works out for me, but this one is pretty low on the curve. Yeah, this one typically doesn't have look for land, although I do technically have this guy, and I think I have a couple other ways to cycle. When this guy enters the battlefield, I can look at the top 6 cards. But this one specifically, an assassin, pirate, or vehicle. Well, this one will help me look. Scry. Surveil doesn't. This guy technically does because he helps me scry, but the scry is just 1. Decks with monorocks are good treasure generation. You can have less. You can always goldfish the deck at the bottom. Keep drawing opening hands and see how playable they are. Yeah, I mean, typically in this deck you don't want to get rid of treasures, but since I have so much stuff that actually generates treasure and or other artifacts, because this generates food and it also generates clues and maps. I think I generally want treasures and or clues though the most. Yeah. Pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Especially with this. If I have Academy Manufacture out, you would create a clue, food, or treasure token. Instead, create one of each. So, yeah. Actually, not terrible. I mean, sometimes whiff, but doesn't seem to whiff too often. Yeah. And when I'm not getting two lands, I'm typically getting something that when I get another land, I can play a creature that gives me something that can generate like a treasure or something like that. I swear we have a different algorithm. I'll put in 37 lands, no land hands on Goldfish Trap. I don't know. I mean, I am getting one sometimes. Like with this is like terrible. Oh shit. Well, well, yeah. This isn't bad. Too much mana, but still the stuff that we have here isn't bad. We have this guy. When he dies, I get to scry and create a treasure token, and this guy parlays. This hand is kind of bad. Not terrible. Okay, this one's actually terrible. Not bad. Kind of bad. This is okay. Uh, eh. Kind of awful. Yeah. Okay. I need you to not block the screen there, my friend. I love you, but I need to see my second screen. 2.19 currently for you. Yeah. Yeah, for the most part, it doesn't seem too bad. I could probably afford to cut like a couple of things and maybe put in like two more lands, maybe two or three. For the most part, it seems fine. Kitty. Oh man, appreciate the lurk. Hope the rest of your day goes well, sir. Godspeed. So yeah, that is the Scrooge McDuck deck. Pretty much. I'm not sure what else I can add into it. I'm probably going to not add blood money. Um, this deck seems pretty solid for now. If anything, I'll probably switch out the counters for something maybe. I can definitely switch out Zara for something else maybe. For the most part, though, I'm pretty happy with this. It seems like I'm. Oh wow, that's terrible. That's not too bad. Kind of bad. Okay. Oof. Not bad. Not bad. Yeesh. That's okay. It's pretty good. Oof. All right. Yeah, maybe I'll add some land. Yeah. Okay. Um, what can I cut? I technically don't need Zara, but there might be other things I can cut, especially because they're flying. Mm, yeah, maybe I'll throw out two of the counters. I'll throw out Hornswoggle and an offer you can't refuse, and put in another couple of islands. Since that seems to be what I have more of in comparison to swamps. That and Hornswoggle. Um, add one, and I'll add another mountain, I guess. Okay, that seems to be curving a little better. Whiffed right there. Kind of another whiff. Not great. Oh, it's kind of not great either. Yeah, it's definitely a little more consistent. I think we'll go with that for now. Seems pretty good though. Okay, so that one is probably set for production. I'll definitely look at it up later just to make sure. Which one was this? Basic math. Oh, this is the ooze deck that I was working on. Okay. So basic math. The reason that it's called that is because there's going to be a lot of like addition and like multiplying and like dividing in air quotes and stuff. It's nothing crazy. I just called it basic math because I thought it was funny. But my commander in here is Felix 5 Boots, legendary creature, ooze rogue, 5/4. Cost 2 colorless, a swamp, a forest, and a island. An island, a island. What the fuck is grammar? Has menace and ward 2. Menace, when we were reviewing the previous deck, it has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures or more. Ward 2, this cannot be countered unless you pay 2 in addition to whatever counter spell you're using. If a creature you control dealing combat damage to a player causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So, multiplying, again, basic math. And then, majority of the creatures in this deck are oozes. So let's start from the top. We have Eve, Progenitor Ooze. It's a legendary creature. It's an ooze. It's a 2/2. It costs 3 forest and 2 colorless. It has the ability Storm. When you cast this spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. Copies become tokens. It has the specific tag. This isn't legendary if it's a token. So basically, every token copy you create is not legendary. And then this enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other ooze you control. So pretty gnarly stuff. Again, basic math, addition, haha. Ancient Ooze. It's an ooze. Costs 5 colorless and 2 forests. It essentially it has asterisks for both the power and toughness, and that's because Ancient Ooze's power and toughness are each equal to the total converted mana cost of other creatures you control. So I don't believe tokens cost anything. So basically, it's anything else. Any other creature that's on the board that isn't a token. So that can be pretty insane. That's pretty much a kill on-site thing. Up next, we've got Biogenic Ooze. It's an ooze. It's a 2/2. It costs 2 forest and 3 colorless. When this creature enters, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each ooze you control. And if you pay, its activated mana ability is if you pay 1 colorless and 3 forest, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. So this one, you don't need to tap it. So as long as you have the mana, you can just create a bunch of oozes. And then at the end, you can give them all +1/+1 if they survive. So in addition to any other ooze. Kind of disgusting. Then we have Biowaste Blob. It's an ooze. It's initially a 0/0. It costs 2 colorless and 2 forests. Oozes you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of Biowaste Blob. So I believe in this case, control of the commander means commander is not in the command zone, but actually on the field. So this gets out of control fast because, well, it's 0/0. Once it comes into play, it gives itself +1/+1. And if this keeps living at the beginning of each upkeep, you get another one, and then that one gives itself +1/+1 plus any other ooze +1/+1. So it just quickly gets out of control. You want to nip this in the bud as quickly as possible or have some kind of board wipe. Pretty interesting. And then we have Consuming Blob. It is power and toughness are both asterisks. The toughness specifically is whatever the asterisk ends up being +1. It costs 3 colorless and 2 forests. Consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze creature token with this creature's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So basically, it creates a copy of itself at the beginning of each end step that it survives. And that quickly gets out of control because if you have 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, blah, blah, blah. And then we have Corrosive Ooze. It's an ooze. It costs, it's a 2/2. It costs a forest and a colorless. Whenever Corrosive Ooze blocks or becomes blocked by an equipped creature, destroy all equipment attached to that creature at the end of combat. I do have a friend that tends to play an equipment deck. Not too many of us use equipment, so this would really only be anti them. But you never know. Up next, we have. Okay, I need to make sure that that was legal to put in here. We have Expanding Ooze. It's an ooze. It's 3/3. It costs 1 colorless, a swamp, and a forest. Its mana, its activated ability is a swamp and a forest. Adapt 1. If this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So basically, you can only really do it the one time. And then whenever Expanding Ooze attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target modified creature you control. A modified creature is anything that has equipment, an aura, or some kind of counter on it. So, nice way to slowly build up your oozes. We've got Experiment Kraj. It's a 4/6 legendary creature, ooze mutant. It costs 2 colorless, 2 islands, and 2 forests. Experimental Kraj has all activated abilities of each other creature with a +1/+1 counter on it, which is pretty insane. And then you can tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, so it helps itself. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. We've got Experiment 1. It costs a forest, and it's a 1/1. It's got the evolve tag. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So this keeps happening whenever something stronger than it that I control enters the battlefield. So that could escalate pretty quickly. Its other ability: remove 2 +1/+1 counters from Experiment 1. Regenerate Experiment 1. Again, regenerate whenever the next time this creature would be destroyed. Instead, tap it, remove it from combat, heal all damage on it. So yeah, if this thing were to die or to be destroyed by a board wipe or something, I can just, if I have the counters on it, I can remove it, tap it, remove it from combat, and heal all damage. So pretty good deal, potentially keeping like a growing powerhouse alive. After that, we have Gelatinous Cube. It's an ooze. It's 4/3. 2 colorless, 2 swamps. It's got the engulf tag. When Gelatinous Cube enters the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until Gelatinous Cube leaves the battlefield. And then it also has Dissolve, which costs X plus a swamp. Put target creature card with mana value X exiled with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. So it's a twofer. You basically have Gelatinous Cube enter. It engulfs something and ends up exiling a non-ooze creature that an opponent has. And obviously you want to exile something that you can pay for. You have enough mana to follow up with Dissolve. You dissolve, you put that creature from exile into into its owner's graveyard. And yeah, good stuff. So you can basically control when stuff goes where, which is nice. I need to see my screen, Cat. Thank you. Up next, we have Gobbling Ooze. It's an ooze. It's 3/3. 4 colorless and a forest. I, for some reason, wanted to say mountain, but that's not true. It is not a mountain, it is a forest. Pay a forest, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Gobbling Ooze. So basically, you just want to throw token creatures at this thing. Yep, Pretty self-explanatory. We've got green slime. It's an ooze. It's 2/2. Costs 4 is 2 colorless. It has flash, so I can play this at instant speed. When green slime enters the battlefield, counter target activate or triggered ability from an artifact or enchantment source. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. And I can foretell this for a forest. I do not remember what foretell does. Foretell is a Magic the Gathering mechanic that lets you pay 2 on your turn to exile a card from your hand face down. On later turn, you can cast that card from exile for a cheaper foretell cost. Oh, okay. So if I do foretell, then I pay 2. It gets exiled face down. And then I can cast it for its from exile for its foretell cost. In this case, it would be a forest. Neat. But I would need to... No. Anyway, I'm not really sure what I was looking at there. I got myself all confused. Moving on. We've got Heck Dies. It's 1/1. It's an ooze horror. Final Fantasy monster. It costs a swamp and a colorless. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. Pretty self-explanatory. Another Final Fantasy creature, we've got the Ice Flan. It's a 5/4. Costs 4 colorless and 2 islands. When this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. When something is stunned, if a permanent with a stun counter could become untapped, remove 1 from it instead. It's got island cycling. So you pay 2, you can discard this card, search your library for an island card and reveal it. Put it into your hand, then shuffle. Ooh. This is the boss battle theme, I think? Yeah. Love Breath of Fire 3. We have Inexorable Blob. It's an ooze. It's 3/3. Costs 2 colorless and a forest. It's got the Delirium tag. Whenever this attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among the cards in your graveyard, put a 3/3 green ooze creature token onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Create a clone. It attacks. If it lives, great. If not, oh well. Because it doesn't say to sack it at the end, so... yeah, I guess as long as you have 4 card types or more in the graveyard, whenever you attack, you can just generate another ooze. Yep, and it'll just attack immediately, which is cool. Up next, we have Kinetic Ooze. It starts as a 0/0. It's an ooze, duh. It costs X plus a forest. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature enters, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment with mana value X or less. If X is more, you may draw a card. If X is 10 or more, or if X is 5 or more, you draw a card. If X is 10 or more, double the number of +1/+1 counters on any number of other target creatures. Wait, damn, pretty good. After that, we have Monoplasm. It's an ooze. It's a 1/1. It costs 2 colorless and a forest. It's pretty expensive for a 1/1. Whenever you cast a spell, Monoplasm gets +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. So, I mean, could be good. Might switch it out for a spell or a land. In this one, I only have 30 lands, so I might want to remove around 3 cards to get more lands. We'll see. Up next, we've got Mephetic Ooze. It's a 0/5. Costs 4 colorless and a swamp. Mephetic Ooze gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Whenever a Mephetic Ooze deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. The creature can't be regenerated. Do I have something that creates artifacts? I might want to get rid of that one. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. After that, we've got Mitotic Slime. It's a 4/4. It's an ooze. It costs 4 colorless and a forest. When Mitotic Slime is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2/2 green ooze creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have when this creature is put into the graveyard, put 2/1/1 green ooze creature tokens onto the battlefield. So this is like that one Russian doll where it's just more, except in this case it just divides itself, becomes slightly weaker, and all that shit. So I actually have to use the bathroom, so I will be right back. Oh, okay. I'm back, and I forgot we need to change the pin, so because we're listening to a different soundtrack now. Oops. Do I have to undo the pin first? I think I do. So let me do that again. There we go. Okay. You're on the desk now. All right. We were here. Okay. So up next we have Mutagen Man, Living Ooze. It's an ooze mutant. It's 2/3, legendary creature. Cost X +2 forest. It's got trample. Activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 1 less to activate. When Mutagen Man enters, create X mutagen tokens. They're artifacts with pay 1 and tap, sacrifice this token, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, and you can activate only as a sorcery. So basically, it creates mutagen tokens where you can just tap and sack for free. You want to go out? Yes, no, yes. Okay, I am doing that. We've got Necroplasm. It's a 1/1. It's an ooze. 1 colorless, 2 swamps. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on Necroplasm. At the end of your turn, destroy each creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on Necroplasm. Dredge 2. So basically, I want to play this when I don't have a ton out or things I don't mind losing. Dredge. Okay. According to this, Dredge is one of the most notoriously powerful and unique mechanics in the game. Instead of normal drawing, a Dredge deck turns your graveyard into the primary resource. Every card with Dredge has a specific number attached to it, e.g. Dredge 3, Dredge 5, or Dredge 6, whatever. The replacement effect, when you would draw a card, you can choose to skip that draw and instead put that many cards from the top of your library into your graveyard, so you mill. The return, if you do, you return the card with the Dredge ability from your graveyard to your hand. And the stacking part, if an effect makes you draw multiple cards, you can replace each draw with a separate Dredge. Okay. Dredge flips the traditional rules of the game upside down. You actually want to mill your own deck. While milling yourself, you trigger a chain reaction of free effects. Free creatures. Cards like Narcomoeba and Prized Amalgam enter the battlefield automatically when they hit the graveyard or under certain conditions. Instant value. Cards like Creeping Chill deal direct life drain damage when milled. Resource loops. Cards like Life from the Loam allow you to constantly return powerful cards like Dakmor Salvage to your hand. I see. It's a recursion mechanic. Oh, I see. So Dredge is a static ability that functions only while the card with Dredge is in the player's graveyard. Dredge N, or X, means as long as you have at least X cards in your library, if you would draw a card, you may instead put X amount of cards from the top of your library into your graveyard, and return this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can use it to fill up your yard or use cards with Dredge on it. So with this, it's got Dredge 2. So if it's in the graveyard, instead of drawing, I can choose to mill 2 cards and then return this from the graveyard to my hand. And then if I had any cards that functioned when it hits the graveyard, that's why I would want to mill myself. Hold on a second. That's pretty cool. Now that I understand how that works, I might want to create a dredge deck. Okay, neat. Okay, so we're here. Necrotic Ooze. It's an ooze. It's 4/3. It costs 2 colorless and 2 swamps. As long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activate abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards. Yikes. That's scary. Yeah, that's a kill on sight card. Oh my god, I'm gonna fuck up this pronunciation. How do you pronounce that? Ochre. Okay. Okay. Cats. Be right back. Anyway. Ochre. Oh, right. Ochre Jelly. It is an ooze. It starts at 0/0. It costs X plus a forest. It's got trample. Ochre Jelly enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. It's got the split tag. When Ochre Jelly dies, if it had 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of the next end step. The token enters this battlefield with half that many +1/+1 counters on it rounded down. Basic math, division. Orin Reef Ooze. It's an ooze. It's a 2/2. It costs 2 colorless and a forest. When this enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And whenever this attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. So, pretty self-explanatory. We've got Predator Ooze. It's a 1/1. It costs 3 forests. It's indestructible. Any damage and effects that say destroy don't destroy this creature. So you can still kill this with well, I guess removal. Removal that doesn't specifically say destroy. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever a creature dealt damage by this creature this turn, whenever a creature dealt damage by this creature this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So when it attacks, it gets +1/+1, and if it happens to kill whatever it's attacking and survives, it also gets it +1/+1. So pretty cool. Okay. Can you choose? Are you going in or out? Which one is it? Pick. You keep walking in and out. Pick. Pick. All right. All right. Next up, we've got Prime Speaker Vanifar. Like Jennifer. Vanifer. Whatever. Legendary creature Elf Ooze Wizard. It's a 2/4. Cost 2 colorless, 1 forest, 1 island. You can tap and sacrifice another creature, or tap this and sacrifice another creature. When you do, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So, nice way to get specific creatures out. if you have the engine for it. Up next, we have Print Lifter Ooze. It is a 2/2. It costs 1 colorless and a forest. It has Death Touch. Whenever Print Lifter Ooze or another creature you control is turned face up, create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. The token enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of other creatures you control. So the disguise cost is 3 colorless and a forest. I believe you pay the disguise cost to play whatever it is face down. Disguise is an ability in Magic that lets you cast the card face down as a 2/2 colorless creature with no name, no subtypes, and ward 2. Okay, so yeah, disguise, you pay this. It comes in as a 2/2 creature that's colorless. You don't know what it is. And it has ward 2, so they can't counter it unless they pay an additional 2 mana to whatever counterspell they're using. And then let's see. Instead of paying its normal mana cost, you can pay 3 to cast any card with disguise face down. Oh, okay. So you pay 3, and then whenever you have priority, you can turn the creature face up by paying its specific disguise cost printed on the card. So you pay 3 to play it face down. Comes a generic 2/2 creature with ward. And then if you want to flip it face up, you have to play its disguise cost, which in this case is 4. This is considered a special action that does not use the stack. Gotcha. Oh, it's not ward isn't to counter. But forces opponents to pay 2 extra mana to target with spells or abilities, which protects your early game investments from cheap removal. So it does technically cost 2 to counter, but it's like any spell that targets the creature, you pay an additional 2. Interesting. Cool. Well, I'm glad I learned that distinction. I believe we're here. Ravenous Slime. It's an ooze. It's a 1/1. It costs 2 colorless and a forest. Ravenous Slime can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. If a creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that creature's power on Ravenous Slime. Very nice. It's comparable to the Predator Ooze, but it's better in some ways and worse than in others. After that, we have Scavenging Ooze. It's 2/2. It costs 1 colorless and a forest. You can pay 1 forest and exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze and you gain 1 life. This does not have a tap effect and does not say you can only use it once. So basically, as long as you have the mana and as long as someone can't counter, then you can exile as many creature cards as you want. After that, we have Slurk, All Ingesting. It's a legendary creature, which is an ooze. It starts as a 0/0 and it costs 5 colorless and a forest. This enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever Slurk or another creature you control dies, it would add a +1/+1 counter on it. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control that has a +1/+1 counter on it. Has the partner tag. You can have 2 commanders if both have partner, which I don't think this does. No. So you can just ignore that. Then we have Splitting Slime. It's a 3/3. It's an ooze. Costs 3 colorless and 2 forests. Its activate ability It costs 4 colorless and 2 forest, so 1 extra than its CMC. It's got monstrosity 3. If this creature isn't monstrous, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it and it becomes monstrous. When Splitting Slime becomes monstrous, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of Splitting Slime. The token has no counters and isn't monstrous. So basically, you create a non-monstrous version of the slime. It doesn't say that it doesn't have the ability. It just says that it enters as its pre-monstrous phase, basically. So it becomes a 3/3, and then if you have the mind to pay it, you can make it monstrous. Add 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and then you can just do it again, and again, and again. We've got Temperamental Ooze Wag or Wag. I don't know. It's a 4/4. It's an Ooze Bushwag or Wog, however you're supposed to say that. It costs 3 colorless and a forest. Its activated ability is 2 colorless and a forest. Adapt 2. If this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Modified creatures you control have trample. So again, modified creatures are anything that have equipment, auras, and any type of counter on it. So pretty cool. We have Uchulon. Is an asterisk for its power, but it's got 4 toughness. Costs 3 colorless and a swamp. Uchulon's power is equal to the number of crabs, oozes, and or horrors you control. And it has the tag Horrific Symbiosis. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature card from an opponent's graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Uchulon. So yeah, that quickly can spiral out of control. And then the last creature we have Vanifer, Evolved Enigma, legendary creature, Elf Ooze Wizard. It's 3/4, costs 2 colorless, a forest, and an island. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1. You can cloak a card from your hand. You can put it on the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with ward. 2. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. So basically, it is a free disguise. Or you can put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. So basically, you can just put stuff into your hand, from your hand onto the battlefield. They become creatures. You risk them going out as creatures, but at the beginning of each combat on my turn, I can choose to, whichever things are colorless. I could put a 1/1 counter if I didn't choose the cloak. So it could be good, but maybe not. Moving on to sorceries, we've got 17 of these buggers in here. 17 of these guys, gals, thingies. The first one is Bygone Marvels. It costs 2 forests. It's got Descend 8. When you cast a spell, if there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, copy the spell. Twice, you may choose new targets for the copies. And this card, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, exile Bygone Marvels. So if we have 8 or more permanents in the graveyard, when we cast this, the initial thing is to return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. You exile Bygone Marvels. You create 2 copies of the spell, which means you get to target 2 more permanents. And because they're copies, even though you exile them, they just basically disappear. We have Dance of the Tumbleweeds. I have this in my elemental deck. Costs a forest and a colorless. It's got Spree. Anything with Spree, it says choose 1 or more additional costs. So you can either pay In addition to its regular CMC +1, when you do search your library for a basic land card or a desert card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. It does not say tapped, so you can still use it, which is great. You can additionally and or pay 3 more, create an XX green elemental creature token where X is the number of lands you control. So we have Echo Casting Symposium. It costs 4 colorless and 2 islands. It is a lesson type sorcery. Target player creates a token that's a copy of target creature you control. It's got the paradigm tag. Basically, I guess after you do whatever the card does, you exile this spell, and then after you first resolve a spell with this name, you may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your main phases. So, if this doesn't get countered, whoever you target, more than likely you're targeting yourself, you create a copy of a target creature that you control, and then you exile the card, and then you may cast a copy of it from exile at the beginning of each of your main phases. So yeah, you can just get free creatures. It's free real estate. Good stuff. Definitely want to counter that. We have Flash Photography, 2 colorless and 2 islands. This is a Prompto card from Final Fantasy 15. I believe it's Prompto. You may cast this spell as though it had Flash if it targets a permanent you control. Create a token that's a copy of target permanent, and also has a flashback. And flashback costs 2 more than its CMC. So you can play this twice, which is cool. Then we have Grow from the Ashes. It costs 2 colorless and a forest. I wanted to say Swamp for some reason. I think I just like how Swamp sounds. Just kind of rolls off the tongue. Sorry, I am getting a notification that I need to look at real quick. I will open these things in the meantime while still doing this. It's got Kicker 2. You may pay an additional 2 as you cast a spell. Usually when you pay the kicker cost, it does something extra. So initially, you search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield, then shuffle. If the spell is kicked, instead search your library for 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. So usually has some kind of doubling up effect and whatnot. In this case, that is very true. Up next, we have Erenicus's Vile Duplication. It costs 3 colorless and an island. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except the token has flying and isn't legendary if that creature is legendary. So, yep, just do more, which is cool. Felix 5 boots really ends up doing kind of a lot. Just allows you to do extra, which is cool. And if you can create multiple copies of that guy, then, you know, yeah. After that, we have Map the Wastes. It costs 2 colorless and a forest. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. It also has Bolster 1. Choose a creature with the least toughness among the creatures you control and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So even though you get a land and it becomes tapped, that's still one more land you don't have to look for later by normal means, which is cool. Plus, it gives one of your creatures a nice little buff. That is always good. Next up, we have Primal Growth. It's a 2 colorless, 1 forest. It has kicker, but in this case, instead of paying with mana, you sacrifice a creature. You can search your library for a basic land card, put that card into play, then shuffle your library. It doesn't say tapped, so I assume it's untapped. If you paid the kicker cost, instead search your library for 2 land cards, put them into play, then shuffle your library. So basically, it's the same thing as Grow from the Ashes, except you sacrifice a creature, which is fine. Up next, we have Quantum Misalignment. It's a Doctor Who card. Give me a second. Sorry. I do not know what number Jodie Whittaker's version of the Doctor is, but it's her. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it isn't legendary. And it has the rebound tag. If you cast this spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So, do more. Good stuff. Love it. After that, we've got Quasi Duplicate. It costs 2 islands and a colorless. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Has the jumpstart tag. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile this card. So you can play this card, and then once in your graveyard, you can basically pay the jumpstart cost, which in this case is paying the 3 again, and then discarding a card. This kind of works like trying to remember what that mechanic is. But you can basically play it from exile for its cost. I think it's flashback. This is like another flashback mechanic. Except usually after well, no, it's the same, yeah, because after you play it, you exile. So yeah, it's just another flashback mechanic. We have Rally the Galadrim. It's 2 colorless, forest and an island. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. It's got the Conspire tag. As you cast a spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, copy it, and you may choose a new target for the copy. So, play this, make a copy of a target creature you control, and then you can tap 2 untapped creatures, and then basically copy this spell, and then copy a creature again. It can be a new one, it can be the same one. So pretty cool. We've got Rampant Growth, costs 1 colorless and a forest. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Pretty self-explanatory. We've got Realm Sketching. It's 2 colorless and 2 islands. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, creature, or land. Again, self-explanatory. Rite of Replication. It's 2 colorless and 2 islands. Kicker cost is 5. Create a token that's a copy of target creature. If the spell was kicked, create 5 of those tokens instead. So that can get pretty crazy. Now, obviously, you can't do that to legendary creatures, but Um, there's a lot of creatures that I have here that aren't legendary that can benefit extremely from being copied 5 times. So, yep. We've got Roamer's Routine. I have this in my elemental deck as well. It's 2 colorless and a forest. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And then it has the Harmonize tag. To harmonize, it's 4 colorless and a forest. You may cast this card from a graveyard for its harmonized cost. You may tap a creature you control to reduce that cost by X, where X is its power. So basically, you can tap a creature whose power is 4 or more, and then just pay a forest. And then you can cast it again and then exile it. So it's another flashback mechanic. Just another way to do it. Stolen Identity. I really like this card. I think it's one of the coolest cards ever. It's a 4 colorless and 2 islands. First, you create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature, and then you cipher. When you cipher, you may exile this spell card encoded onto a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost, which is pretty interesting. So, yeah, I can encode this card onto a creature, and then whenever I deal combat damage to a player, I basically get the create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature for free, which is kind of nice. I believe that's how it works. I believe. Up next, the last of our sorceries, we have Terramorph. It costs 3 colorless and a forest. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. It doesn't say tapped, which is great. It's got rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So you get an additional land for free, and you get to shuffle your deck, which can be good. Moving on to instants, we've got 8 of them. First one is Cackling Counterpart. It's a 1 colorless, 2 islands. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. And it also has a flashback for 2 islands and 5, just 5 colorless, which means you can play it from your graveyard and then exile. So again, you can copy creatures that do more. Basic math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I think it's great. Remember to hydrate and stretch if you are sitting at a desk or sitting down or whatever. Next up, we've got Double Major. Costs a forest and an island. Copy target creature spell you control, except it isn't legendary. If the spell is legendary, copy of a creature spell becomes a token. So, bam. Faded Infatuation, 3 islands. Put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. If it's your turn, scry 2. And again, when you scry, in this case, you look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them on the bottom of your library, and the rest on top in any order. So, pretty self-explanatory. Then up next, we have Mirror Match, which is just a fun little card. Costs 4 colorless and 2 islands. Cast Mirror Match only during the Declare Blocker's step. For each creature attacking, you or a planeswalker you control Put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield, blocking that creature. Exile those tokens at the end of combat. So, yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. After that, we've got Natural Connection. 2 colorless, 1 forest. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it on the battlefield, tap, shuffle your library. Pretty self-explanatory. After that, we've got Preche's Wanderings. I believe this is a Final Fantasy 14 card or themed card. It's 2 colorless, 1 forest. Search your library for a basic land card or town card. Put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When you search your library this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So, good stuff. We've got Second Harvest. 2 colorless, 2 forests. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Pretty self-explanatory there. And our final instant is 3 steps ahead. It costs a island. It's got the spree mechanic. For an additional 1 colorless and 1 island, you can counter target spell. For an additional 3 colorless, you can create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature card you control, or 2 extra colorless and draw 2 cards, then discard a card, which is kind of nice. Moving on to artifacts, we've only got 2 of these bad boys here, which I might remove this one. I'm not sure. We've got Mind Link Mech. It's a 4/3. It's a vehicle. Costs 2 colorless and an island. It's flying. Whenever Mind Link Mech becomes crewed for the first time each turn, until the end of turn, Mind Link Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it this turn. Except it's 4/3. It's a vehicle artifact in addition to its other types, and it has flying. And it has crew 1, which means you only need a total power of 1 to crew this, which is nice, but basically you just want to crew something that can do something devastating. Because it's flying, sometimes people might not be able to respond to it, so even though you're doing less damage, you might have some ability that's coming in that's really good. So, could be great. We've got Trickster's Talisman, which just costs an island. It's got the Invoke Duplicity tag. Whenever equipped creature gets +1/+1, and it has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice Trickster's Talisman. If you do, create a token that's a copy of this creature, and it costs 2 to equip. Forgive me. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Moving on to enchantments, we've got 8 of these dudes. First up is Endless Evil. It's an aura. It costs 2 colorless and an island. Enchant creature you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature, except the token is 1/1. When enchanted creature dies, if that creature was a horror, return Endless Evil to its owner's hand. In this case, it just allows you to create smaller versions of stuff that you already have that will make things more out of control, which is nice. I don't think I have a horror in this deck. Do I? No, I have 1 horror. It's a black card, I think. Hecdies. Is that the only horror I have? Nope, I've got 2. All right. Fair enough. After that, we have Extravagant Replication. It costs 4 colorless and 2 islands. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of another non-land permanent you control. Which again, crazy stuff can happen. I think by now you kind of understand what I'm doing with this. We've got an aura up next, Followed Footsteps, costs 3 colorless and 2 islands. Enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a creature token into play that's a copy of enchanted creature. One of my favorite cards in terms of flavor. Imposter Syndrome. It costs 4 colorless and 2 islands. Whenever a non-token creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. So this also works on legendary creatures, which is nice. We've got another aura, Metamorphic Alteration, costs a colorless and 1 island. Enchant creature. As Metamorphic Alteration enters the battlefield, choose a creature. Enchanted creature is a copy of the chosen creature. Pretty self-explanatory there. We've got Mirror Maid. It costs a colorless, 2 islands. You may have Mirror Maid enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. So, duh. We've got Reflections of Lichara. It costs 4 colorless and an island. As this enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of a chosen type, copy that spell. So, basically ooze. And then we've got Vestivan Diplomacy. It costs 3 colorless and an island. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. And then we just have our lands. Right now, I've defaulted to 10 forests, 10 islands, and 10 swamps. I need to change the distribution of this. We have less swamps, so I am going to move swamps down to 8, and a majority of this is islands. So I'm going to move forests up to 12. Islands being at 10 is okay, I think. As fun as this is, I do believe I need more land. Because right now, the land I have is 2.12. I know I have stuff that gives me land, but oh Jesus, that would be a dreadful hand. As opposed to like this one. Yeah. I do have search your library for basic lands and stuff like that, but then I get hands like this, and it's like, well, what the hell, And it's funny how a majority of my land is forest, but for the most part, through this simulation, I've been drawing swamps. Yeah. I could probably definitely use more land. Just not sure what I would get rid of here. Probably Vanifar. She's fun, but I don't really need her abilities. Her regular version isn't too bad though. I will add another forest. Is there an ooze I don't really need? Ice Flan we probably want to keep. Um, um, I don't have a ton of artifacts. This can still work for the stuff that gives oozes stuff, though. This is one I probably don't need. I don't think anything's bigger than like 8 or whatever. Probably. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'll add another forest. Question is, do I really need necroplasm? I mean, it can be good in certain situations. I lost my train of thought for a second. Do I really need necroplasm? Hmm. You have to be really careful with necroplasm. As much as I like dredge, it doesn't fit. I'll add an island. Okay, so now I have 33 lands. Average number of lands in opening hand went up to 1.33. Oof. Okay. Wow. Yeesh. Actually, that one's not too bad. We're more consistently getting like 2 lands per hand. I say that, and then we get this 4, 1, 5, 4. Huh. Hmm. Uh, uh, uh. Well, yeah, yeah, kind of bad. Oof, that's really bad. So is that. Yikes. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Hmm. Uh, okay. I mean, I guess for the most part, it seems pretty all right. So I'll probably leave this one like this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to zone out. I'm actually pretty tired. We've been streaming for about 3 hours though, so I think I'm gonna call it here. Um, Not too bad though. We got through 2 decks. Reviewed 2 decks. Scrooge McDuck Protocol and Basic Math. Last time we worked on Do It Like We Do on the Discovery Channel, and then prior to that, we worked on Copy That. When I think about my copy deck versus basic math, I actually like the basic math version better than copy that. So I'll probably eventually get rid of copy that or find a way to rework the copy mechanic in here. But this is one that's potentially on the chopping block. Avalanche is one that I haven't worked on in a long time. But it's my Final Fantasy VII themed deck, so we might work on that one in a bit. I think it's pretty much good to go. It's just whether or not I want to switch out some characters, maybe some equipment, that type of deal. And then I have a deck named after one of my friends. That's a different kind of copy deck, so we might look at that one eventually. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think on Friday though, we'll definitely be heading back into CCRO. I don't know what we're doing this week as far as like our meetup. I don't know if we're doing Friday Night Magic or if we're meeting over the weekend. So that'll kind of determine how long the stream goes on for at that point. But for now, we're doing pretty good. Otherwise, I think. Okay, one of those is ready. Sorry, I got a message about one of my prescriptions from Walgreens. Looks like one is ready and one was delayed. So anyway, yeah, that looks like that's what we're going to be doing. So pretty cool though. Today was pretty productive, I think. I'm also liking the subtle 3D effects that I put on the text. It's really popping out to me. I like it. I like it a lot. Adds some nice extra little spice to the channel, which I'm really enjoying. So, yeah, fantastic. Pretty cool though. We didn't exactly create any new decks, but we reviewed and tuned what I got, so happy with that. I think those two that we reviewed and worked on are ready to go into production. So along with my Dokes deck, I think we are pretty set. So that's like about three more decks that we can start cranking out, which is nice. I'm not sure which one I want to start working on next as far as getting it physically ready and whatnot, but I think right now I have like the Dokes deck. I have to get the other stuff, the other two ready. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it over the course of the week and figure it out. Dokes has been in the works for a while, so I'll probably go with that one. We'll see how things go. I'll be back on Friday. Like I said, probably with CCRO. So I appreciate y'all for joining me here today and listening to me ramble as I try to figure out my deck situation. You guys are always awesome. Please have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week. Hopefully I'll see you on Friday. Get rest, stay hydrated, eat good food, sustain yourself. Appreciate you joining me. Again, hopefully I'll see you soon. Until then, take care. Have a good rest of your day. All right, see you later.